Good afternoon, everybody. We are honored to have you here in this forum. Today I'm with two experts of learning theories, the behaviorist and social constructivism. We are going to discuss how these theories are applied on the education field and now if those theories have positive or negative results. I would like to start interview with the first educator, Adriana Sorcia. So now could you tell us how the behavior is searched?
Of course. The behavior search in 1930, the term behaviorist refers to the school of psychology found by John Watson, based on the belief that behaviors can be measured, trained, and changed. All behaviors are acquired through conditions. Conditions occur through intention with the environment. There are two types of condition. That is the classical condition, and the second one is the operant condition. The classical condition is a technique used in behavior training in which a naturally occurring stimulus is paired with a response. The second one, that is the operant condition, is a method of learning that occurs through reinforcement and punishment of behavior. Behaviors followed by negative outcomes, on the other hand, become less likely to happen again in the future. This method is more used in schools, and I would like to explain it later.
Could you give an example of how this theory is applied on learning?
Of course. One of the precursors of this theory is Ivan Pavlov, who starts with this theory, that he changed the behavior of a dog, showing a piece of meat and bringing a sound, and that sound implies that he will eat immediately. So then the dog assimilates the piece of meat with the eat, and then he knows immediately that it will be eat. Then Ivan Pavlov quit the piece of meat, and only with that sound he knows, in this case the dog, that he will eat immediately without showing the piece of meat.
Thank you. Anna, I really want to know your opinion. Do you think there is a relationship between behaviorism and social constructivism?
No, I don't think so, because there are different theories.
Why do you think this?
Because the social constructivism is a sociological theory based on how we build our own mental structures for the interaction with the environment.
I agree with she, because there are differences, because the behaviorism is based on the behavior of one person, of an animal, and the social constructivism is about the interaction with a person and the previous knowledge of you have. So that's the point in which we make that comparison.
Well, do you think the same? So, Anna, how the constructivism sorts?
Well, the constructivist search, like a product of constructivism, it is an educative and psychological position that trying to explain how is the nature of the human knowledge. And the principal precursors are Jean Piaget and Lev Vygotsky.
Tell us how the social constructivism is focused nowadays and before?
Well, this theory is exactly the same nowadays and before, because it claims that the knowledge needs to be active. The student have to incorporate the previous experiences to the new experiences to build a new.
Can you tell us how the constructivism is focused nowadays and before?
Well, the constructivist is almost the same thing nowadays and before, because it is a theory that claims that the knowledge needs to be active. Every new information has to be incorporated to a knowledge and experiences network.
Well, and Adriana, how do students learn through behaviorism?
Yeah, the role of the teacher, the transmission of information from the teacher to the learner is essentially the transmission of the response appropriated to a certain stimulus. An effective reinforcement schedule requires consistent repetition of the material. Without positive reinforcement, learners' responses will quickly become extinct. This is because learners will continue to maintain the behavior until they receive a new positive reinforcement. As John Watson says, if you have a positive stimulus, you will have a positive response, and if you apply a negative stimulus, you will have a negative response.
How do students learn through the social constructivism?
Well, the social constructivists help the students to catch, rebuild, and transform the new cognitive structures that let the students face similar situations or similar to the reality.
What do you think nowadays is applied this behaviorism?
Yes, in schools it consists of the behaviorism with a purpose. If you have a specific purpose of the learning of the student, you can apply this theory, because as I said before, when you have a stimulus, you will have the response that you want. So, for example, you can change the behavior of the students through this theory. That it's very important, but it's applied with a specific purpose. For example, in constructivism, that it's nowadays more used, is because you have to have your own knowledge to construct, and the teacher is only a facilitator of the knowledge of the students, and that's the difference between the behaviorism. But I think nowadays it's applied still in schools.
Well, today we learned something else about these theories that we must know in education. So thank you so much for staying here with us, and we will see you next week.
Thank you to you for inviting us. It's a pleasure.